Hello everyone and welcome back to Rave Green TV, and for today's video we're going to be doing a keep, sell, loan list going into the 2023 season with our current squad that we have at the time of recording. We did make a post on this as well on our social media, so make sure as well you're following us on Instagram and Twitter if you're not already, and the post got a lot of mixed opinions towards it, but based off of the players that we now have remaining in our squad, and since that post we've had a little bit of chopping and changing so far in our roster, so I thought, hey, why not make a video discussing who now I would like to keep, sell, and loan from our squad. So to get started in today's video, let's go from back to front, and first and foremost is our goalkeepers. And there isn't really much to talk about when it comes to our goalkeepers, which is Stefan Frei, Stefan Cleveland, and Andrew Thomas. I think they're all easy keeps and not even a negotiation. But one thing I do want to bring up as a food for thought is Stefan Frei is getting significantly older, is very close to 40 years old. So maybe is it time to start rotating Stefan Cleveland in as our starting goalkeeper? He isn't necessarily young himself either, but he's significantly younger than Stefan Frei. And to add on top of that, Stefan Cleveland has proven that he is probably the best backup goalkeeper in MLS. Every time he has played for us, he has put out starting goalkeeper performances for us. So maybe that is something that Brian Schmetzer has got to start thinking about. And then moving on to our defense, we have Xavier Arreaga, Nouhou, Alex Roldan, Yeimar Andrade Gómez, Jackson Ragen, and AB Cissoko. For me, there has to be two defenders that have to be in the sell category. And I know one of these is going to be a really big hot take, but I think it is time for Nouhou to be sold. We recently just saw us let go of Jimmy Medranda to the Columbus Crew, and now we're down to Nouhou as our only left back. And in my opinion, I would have actually preferred us to keep Jimmy Medranda and sell Nouhou. With Jimmy Medranda, he was probably one of the best left wing backs in MLS for the price that we paid for him and the wages that he's on. And on the flip side with Nouhou, if we're going to be completely honest with ourselves, he's not really that good of a left back or left wing back. The best I've ever seen Nouhou play on the defensive line is when he plays as a center back 3 on the left hand side. But outside of that position, he's pretty poor in my opinion. And I know there was a lot of debate and conversation between the Sounders fan base. Should we have sold Nouhou after AFCON because his value is at an all-time high after his great performance against Egypt where he pocketed Mohamed Salah, and then he had a poor season with us last year outside of his one game against Houston where he got his first ever goal and an assist, but to only have one good performance in around 30 matches is pretty bad. So with him now, he was able to play all 3 of Cameroon's games at the World Cup and put out pretty good performances for them. So his market value is back to an all-time high. And if the Sounders want to free up some more space, bring in some more money, maybe Nouhou's a guy that we could flog off for a big chunk of cash. And then for the second player, it's Jackson Ragen. I will say I'm leaning a little bit more towards the loan side than the sell side. He had a really good start to our season last year, but when things were starting to go bad for him, it was going bad. His performances against Montreal, the Portland Timbers, and Orlando City, I'll never forget. In my opinion, I think he single-handedly dropped us 9 points from those matches. In the Montreal game, causing a massive error leading to a clear-cut goal for them, and then in the Portland game, getting one of the dumbest red cards I've ever seen, and in the Orlando City game, don't even get me started, missing a wide-open header, then scoring an own goal. On the other hand, though, this was his first year with this team, so mistakes were bound to happen, but can he learn from those mistakes and become a better player? As I said earlier, he had a really bright start when he broke into the first team, so I'm gonna say he should just go out on loan, get more first team minutes, either be with a Defiance, a USL team, or another MLS team. I just think he needs that bit more experience before getting as many minutes as he did last year with us. Then in regards to the other defenders, I'd probably say keep, but I will make a small mention for Alex Roldan. There's been a decent drop off with his performances from 2 seasons ago to last season, and I think that's due to us not having any depth in the right back position, so he knows if he doesn't play well, he's still gonna start the next week either way, because he's our only left back on the team. So I think it is crucial for the Sounders to look for a possible right back that can be a backup or rotation player that's not Kelyn Rowe, that can push Alex Roldan and help him become a better defender. Then for the midfield, we have João Paulo, Cristian Roldan, Albert Rusnák, Nicolás Lodeiro, Liao Chu, Reed Baker-Whiting, Ethan Dobbelaere, Obed Vargas, Danny Leyva, Josh Atencio, and Dylan Teves. So you all are probably screaming at your screens right now as I forgot to mention Kelyn Rowe in the midfielders. So in post-productions for this little bit, I will give you all my take on where I stand fan with him. I'm very split with Kelyn Rowe because he had a pretty poor season last year, but his versatility is so key for this team. We didn't see him play much in the midfield last year, which is more of his natural position. We saw him play more in the outside backs as backups because we suffered so many injuries last year. And if we do want to make a deep run this year in MLS, I think his versatility will be key. I don't think he's a great player, but versatility is very much helpful for this team and very much needed because we know every single season the Sounders go through patches of tough injuries within the team. So Kelyn Rowe can be very helpful for that. So I'm going to go with keep for Kelyn Rowe. There are only two midfielders that I would put on my sell list, and that is Nicolás Lodeiro and Liao Chu. And before we get into that, there is one brief mention that I want to bring up, and that is Cristian Roldan, that him and Jordan Morris are looking to demand DP contracts from the Seattle Sounders. And the club has already stated that they'll look into that possibility for Cristian Roldan, but if they can't come to an agreement with Jordan Morris, they'll most likely plan to sell him. So that is something I do want to bring up when it comes to Cristian Roldan. But as of right now, he's still in the keep column for me. The first player is gonna be Nicolás Lodeiro. I've mentioned in many fan cams, many reviews, many previews, I think his time is up. He heavily struggled with injury 2 seasons ago, and last season he was pretty bad. If it wasn't for all the penalties that he took last season, Nicolás Lodeiro's stats would look even worse than they kind of already do now. And there has been those rumors for the past 3 years with Nacional and Uruguay, and it just doesn't seem like his head is in the game anymore with the Seattle Sounders after that 2019 MLS Cup win. I know, again, it's another hot take, but that's just how I genuinely feel with him right now. A rumor can be a rumor if it comes up once, but it's been coming up for multiple years that Nicolás Lodeiro might be going back to Nacional. And you can't just make that stuff up if it keeps coming back up every single year. And on top of all that, he takes up a DP contract, and he's not putting up DP numbers. So why not think about selling him and bringing in a player that can make a difference for this team? Every other team in MLS have completely bolstered their squads, and all of their DPs are players that hit double-digit goals and assists on a consistent basis that don't only include penalties. So if Craig Waibel wants to be successful as the new GM of the club, he's got to make some cutthroat decisions. And I'm not necessarily saying it has to be with Nicolás Lodeiro, but he's got to seriously start thinking of something because we still haven't made a single signing. And then the next player is Liao Chu. I am kind of 50-50 with him. Would I put him on loan? Would I sell him? Would I keep him? But putting him on loan maybe isn't the smartest move, and I think we just got to cut our losses and sell the guy. Brian Schmetzer clearly doesn't rate Liao Chu because we could see that from the lack of minutes he's been getting for the past 2 seasons. And we saw last season, for most of the cameos he made, he was pretty bad and didn't really make much of a difference. So similarly to Lodeiro, I think we need to cut our losses as he takes up a U22 player DP spot. And if you guys don't know what that is, I don't necessarily know what it is, but it's a similar contract to what Thiago Almada is on Atlanta United. And let's think about the numbers he puts up with Atlanta United in that same contract position compared to Liao Chu. And then moving on to our forwards, we have Raúl Ruidíaz, Fredy Montero, and Jordan Morris. We just recently renewed Fredy Montero's contract, so he'll be with us for next season. So I think there's only really one guy you got to talk about when it comes to the forward positions, because there's no way I'd put Raúl Ruidíaz in that sell category, so that's going to be Jordan Morris. As I mentioned early on, he's looking to have a designated player contract with the Seattle Sounders, and I really don't understand what Jordan Morris is thinking. He had one of his worst seasons last year, and then he thinks, hey, I should be one of the top paid players on the Seattle Sounders. No, bro, you need to go. Jordan Morris has been at the club for 6 seasons, and let's be completely honest, outside of his 2019 year, he's a pretty mid player. Without his pace, Jordan Morris doesn't really have much technical ability. He's not a kid, he's in his prime now, and the guy doesn't look good. The amount of misses he has from clear-cut opportunities to goals he does score is a really bad ratio. The man is a one-trick pony. He doesn't really have much in his locker, and I think defenders and players are really starting to find him out. And if he's looking to increase his wages, there's no reason to keep him at the club. I know he is a Seattle kid and he grew up here and was part of our academy, but I don't think there's any more growth with Jordan Morris, and I really think we need to cut our losses with him as well. I'd rather us play a youngster there or bring in someone that has more potential and has a higher ceiling than him, because realistically, Jordan Morris' ceiling has been hit. It's not getting any higher than this. I know, yet again, it's going to be a really hot take and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but if the Sounders want to be back as one of those cutthroat teams in MLS, we gotta start making changes. Our club had its worst season in MLS history last year, and for a season and a half, there's been a clear lack of creativity, goals produced, just energy from this team in the MLS regular season. If we take out that CCL trophy, the Sounders have been really, really bad for over a year. Things need to change. We need to make changes. This team needs to have a new overhaul. It needs to have a new core. Obviously, keep some of the core players to our successes for the past couple of years, but we need to start making changes to players that aren't producing. But boys and girls, my opinion only matter so much. Let me know in the comments down below what players would you want to keep, sell, or loan from our current roster going into next season. Let me know as well some possible players the Sounders should look to sign to help bolster the squad, to help get us goals, to help bring us back into the MLS playoffs. So let me know all your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to smash the like button on today's video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I hope you all have a lovely day.